Chapter.
Good morning, everybody. Welcome to the Saturday morning real estate marketing show with RuthieRocks, Ruth Allbrand, and I am Marketing Max. This is show number 268, if you can believe that. Sorry, we're a little late this morning. We were trying to get some guests lined up and coordinate some things. Today, we're having Sheila Merrill, the lending lady from Nova Home Loans again, back on the show, and she brought a special guest, Adelia Nayastani from the Nova Credit Services with Nova Home Loans. And she'll be talking about how to, buy a home when maybe your credit's not so great yet, and how you can get on the pathway of home ownership, even with, not so great credit. So before we get into that, though, Ruth, what is happening in Las Vegas?
Well, people are buying and selling real estate, that's for sure. With these low interest rates, we got 200 listings yesterday, and I will tell you why. Because sellers now want to sell their home and buy another one and get them. Yeah, they've been having cabin fever, looking at all the things that they could do to their home. They say, well, let's just buy a new home or a different home, right? And I think that's what's going on, because it's amazing to me. 200 listings yesterday is awesome. And I had a couple things about home ownership. I mean, this is something astounding that if you look at the personal wealth of a homeowner versus a renter.
Mm-hmm. We mentioned that last week.
Personal wealth is 44 times that of a renter. 44 times, everybody. So if you want to create wealth and invest in your life, and there's so many other, that's a whole nother show, the home ownership show. But that's kind of what we're talking about today, is how more and more people can get into that. And the market is just really good because of the low interest rates. And it's such a great time to buy. We've got about 6,868 available listings, condos, single family, and townhomes. And yesterday we closed 155 homes. That's, 310 real estate agents got paid. Yay.
Yay.
Yay. John was one of them. And we put 98 under contract. Now, probably by Monday, what happens is some of the people will put their closings in on Saturday that they had yesterday. So that number will change over the weekend. So that's good, because compared to last year, we are only down 5.5%, or we're 89.5% of what we had last year, which is awesome, given the pandemic crisis we went through since March 17th through the end of May. And then the market picked back up in June. So we had, 2.5 months where we were eking out a living there.
Sure, absolutely. How's the trend of the available inventory? Is that number gone up in the last couple of months?
No, it was at 6,000. Now it's at 5,173 of single family homes.
Got it.
Which is what I'm always, as long as we stay above 5,000, then we have about 1.7 months of available inventory. So,
wow.
Yeah,
still very low.
Yeah, well, yeah, but it's working. It's still working. There's so many loan opportunities out there, and people are taking advantage of it. And don't look in the rearview mirror and say, why didn't I do this?
Right.
Yes, 90% of millionaires became so through investing in real estate. So whether you're going to buy a home for yourself, this is a great time to buy an investment property. And it's the best hedge against inflation, which is going to come because of the trillions of dollars that we printed for the COVID-19 stimulus. And inflation is coming. But guess what? If you own a home, your rent's not going to go up. Your payment stays the same.
Your mortgage payment stays the same.
Yes. And the appreciation is your biggest hedge against inflation, because assets, when you have inflation, they increase in value.
And, real assets. That's why there's a real in real estate.
Yes. Real
assets.
Yes. And they're not making any more real estate. I have to tell you that.
No, it's a fixed amount for sure.
So that's it. I'm real excited that our market is popping, and people are still moving here, which is a wonderful thing. Okay, I'll get out of the way because I know we have a great show today. Let me put my stats down here. Let's get Sheila up here. And I'll take this text off the screen. Whoops, put more on. I have to produce the show as well, you know.
Yeah, absolutely. Ruth does a myriad of things while she's actually talking on the show, which is pretty amazing.
Oh boy. So let's see here. Sheila, where do you want to be?
Hi.
Okay, you can, where do you want to begin? You and Max can kind of run the show here, and I'll sit back and be the producer.
Okay. Well, good morning, everybody. Sheila Merrill, the lending lady with Nova Home Loans here in Las Vegas, Nevada. How's everybody doing today?
So far, so good, Sheila.
Good.
So far, so good.
So we do have a special guest, Idalia Nayastani. She is our credit specialist, one of our credit specialists with, we call it Home on the Horizon, offered by Nova Home Loans. And she's not able to join us live on on the camera, but she is going to go ahead and talk us through the slideshow as you go ahead and proceed. Idalia, are you able to see the show live now? Idalia?
I apologize. Hello.
Oh, hi.
For having me on, everybody. And I apologize. I can't be on camera this morning. I'm a little technical challenge, and my system has decided to just completely not cooperate this morning. So I apologize. I'm not sure if I'm able to see. I think there might be a little slight delay in the speed that I'm getting right now, but I will push through it and do the best that we can.
Okay. Well, we're on the first slide, so I'll go ahead and prompt you and let you know when well, you tell me, you prompt me when to go to the next one. Let's do that.
Okay. So if you're on the very first page, it'll have the Home on the Horizon logo, which is associated with Nova Home Loan. We offer actually, there's an entire group of us that are here to assist consumers with helping improve their credit. The great thing about our group is that combined, we have over 100 years of experience. And I think one of you mentioned that earlier. But besides that, of course, the wealth of knowledge available among all of us. But besides that, the program that we offer and the assistance that we offer is free of charge to our consumers. So all you need to do, for those of you listening that need assistance with how to improve your credit, you can just contact Sheila, and she will get your information over to the credit services team at Nova Home Loans, so we can then analyze the consumer's credit report and provide assistance on how to potentially improve the scores. Another great thing is that we follow you through your path. Let's say you don't know what your credit looks like. Sheila pulls your credit, and you want to improve it, 5 points, 10 points, 100 points, 200 points, whatever the target might be. We will stick with you and follow up with you for many, many months or years if necessary to get you to your path and to your desired score. All of that, again, free of charge. Thank you, Sheila, for switching the page. I see it now.
You're welcome. And then Idalia, that is in, we're not just repairing credit to repair credit. We do it in relation to purchase or refinancing preparation. Okay.
Yeah, absolutely. Yes. So how do you obtain a copy of your credit report? If you're already on the market searching for a home and you want to apply for a loan, you normally would contact Sheila. However, if you're a few months out prior to wanting to buy, or maybe you're leasing right now and you have 6 months to a year before you apply for a loan, give us a chance to look at your credit. Again, Sheila will need to pull your credit report, but if you want to be a little bit more proactive and take a step and handle it yourself up front, you can also obtain a copy of your credit report through annualcreditreport.com. Again, that is free of charge. My FICO score, or myFICO.com also offers copies of your credit report. However, they do charge a fee. I believe it's about $19 or so. The price might vary depending on the bureau you're trying to obtain. The three major credit repositories are TransUnion, Experian, and Equifax. So you can go directly to myFICO.com or get a free copy through annualcreditreport.com. What credit consists of, Sheila, if you don't mind switching over to the next page. I'll go over the items that that generate the FICO score. So there are 5. There's a wheel. Again, I mentioned that I'm a little delayed, so I'm not sure if
it's okay. Ruth, I'm not in control. Ruth's in control. Ruth, next slide. It is. We love it.
We make it work with this technology.
That's right.
The next page would be, you'll see a wheel of what your credit FICO score consists of.
Ruth?
There are 5 major categories.
There we go. Okay.
Did it switch?
Yeah, switch. Sorry. Okay.
Okay. It hasn't updated on my end yet, but it will. So I'll just talk through them real quick. 5 major categories that consist of that generate your FICO score. The first one is the major one, which is your payment history. Do you pay your bills on time? Well, you know, the length of positive payments or negative in the event you defaulted on a couple of payments. Also, the next slice, if you will, is the amount owed. So how, compared to your credit limit, how much debt do you carry when you compare it to your credit limit? For example, you have a credit card that's $1,000. Do you max it out to every single month? That the balance that you carry on that credit card is going to dictate your FICO score. The higher the credit score, the higher the balance, the lower your credit score. The lower the balance, the higher your credit score is going to reflect. The next bucket is the length of credit history. How long have your accounts been opened? This is very important because the length of the account history, the older the accounts are, and the more good timely payments you make, the higher your FICO score is going to be. The next category is 10% of your FICO score consists of the new credit. As I mentioned earlier, the length of credit or length of time the account has been established. And also another 10% is types of credit in use, meaning do you have a mortgage? That's one type of credit. Do you have student loans? That's considered an installment, so it's another type of credit. Do you have an auto loan? That's an installment account. Do you have a credit card? It's a revolving account. And a revolving account has one of the highest impact against the consumer score because you as the consumer get to dictate how you utilize credit. So the creditors and the bureaus are grading you, if you will. It's kind of like a report card that they use to grade you on how you use your credit, how responsible you are with paying your bills on time, how often you max them out, and when you do you pay the entire amount the following month you get the statement, or do you carry a continuous high balance? So are you a revolver, or are you a transactional user? A transactional user is somebody that charges off the credit card and pays it off every month. A revolver is somebody that charges and only pays, the minimum score, the minimum payment required. Okay. So you get rated on that.
Adalia, can I ask a question real quick?
Elaborate or speed up a little. You can move on to the next one.
Yeah, go ahead, Max. Max has a question.
Yeah, I don't know if she can hear me, but my question for her is which is better, Sheila, if you can relay the questions, which is better, having a revolving credit or a transactional credit where you pay off balances every month?
Thank you. And that's a good question. It's a transactional would mean that once you get the statement in how at your house, then you turn around and pay it. So which means that by the time the bureaus receive the updated balance information from the creditor, your balance is going to be significantly lower, potentially, because you pay it prior to your payment being due. The creditors report the information, meaning the balance, to the credit bureaus, usually 2 to 5 days after your payment is due. So by the time the bureaus receive the information, it's going to reflect that your account balance is significantly lower than what it would have been earlier in the month prior to you making that payment. So that's going to automatically increase your score.
That's good.
Well, got it. Perfect. Makes sense.
Okay.
All
right. Next slide.
Next slide. Oh, please.
So another item I wanted to touch on with regards to the credit report. Once you get a copy of your credit report, the items you want to look for, now that you know what your credit FICO scores consist of, the items you want to look at are what are the creditors reporting against your credit record. So review the pay history, review the Make sure that your payments are being reported as being made on time. If you have any 30, 60, 90 days late, and if so, is that creditor accurately reporting that information? Or if it's not, then you want to go into figuring out how to submit a dispute. Again, if you're working with the credit services team at Nova Home Loans, we help you through all that. We analyze the credit report from end to end, and we question the items that are showing derogatory, that are hindering your FICO score. And if updating them, correcting them, obviously we want to correct any errors. But if you're unaware of any errors, and you want to investigate, and we can help initiate the investigation and make sure that the bureaus accurately update their records as well as the creditor. That process takes about 30 days for a dispute to be processed, but you want to make sure that you address those as quickly as possible, because sometimes the older an account gets, it's harder to get a creditor to correct the information because they have to do a lot more digging. So you want to monitor your credit report as often as you can. And just so in case you guys weren't aware, right now, because of the pandemic, COVID-19 has created a lot of issues, but also one of the things that is helping consumers right now is that the bureaus are allowing the consumers to obtain a free copy of their credit report on a weekly basis. You can go to annualcreditreport.com and pull your credit every single week until this is being extended until April 2021. So there should be no surprises when you go to Sheila and when your credit is full. There should be no surprises as far as what is being reported, because you can always get a copy of it through annualcreditreport.com. And then if you need assistance correcting any errors, we will be more than happy at Credit Services to assist you with that. All right, next slide.
Next slide. Hold, please.
No problem. The next slide just goes into how to dispute inaccurately reported information. You can go directly to the bureaus, which I must say it's time-consuming for one consumer to go to each individual bureaus. Again, that is one of the best things that we offer here at Nova Home Loans, is we do that work for you. We'll contact the bureaus for you. You just need to make some time to allow us to analyze the report, review our findings with you, and determine what items would need to be corrected. But you can go, like I mentioned, to the credit report, to each individual bureau. You can also submit a dispute through annualcreditreport.com, and also you can send them in writing, as you saw on one of the slides. But that's like the snail mail type of process, and it's, we want to send a certified letter to make sure that they do receive it, given all the issues that the post office may be having right now. All right, so another item any questions before I go on to the next slide? I just want to make sure.
I have a question just to share that. I know whenever we're doing a conventional loan, that disputed items are not good. How is this good? Disputing it? It's disputed, and then when it's removed, then the dispute comes off?
There are two. So to clarify, the dispute may not always have to come off on a conventional loan. It does have to come off on an FHA loan if the amount owed is $1,000 or higher combined. Meaning if you have three different accounts that are under dispute, and each account the amount totals to be more than 1,000 or more, then the dispute needs to come off because the algorithm, meaning the bureau's algorithm, is not factoring those trade lines onto the credit score. So the scores that we might be seeing may be artificially inflated. Okay. So, and Fannie Mae guidelines require those disputes to be removed. However, when we're submitting a dispute on the consumer's behalf to the bureaus, that dispute process takes 30 days to complete. But once they complete the investigation, meaning the bureaus receive our request for a dispute with the specific items that need to be addressed, they then contact the creditor. The creditor researches, confirms whether or not the account information is accurately reporting. If it's inaccurately reporting, the bureaus will update their records accordingly. If it's accurately reporting, the bureaus will reply back to the consumer directly, stating that the findings were found to be accurate, and therefore the account will continue to be reported as such. and the dispute verbiage is then removed. It does not continue on there indefinitely. So contrary to what consumers run into when they're working with a credit repair company, the credit repair company continues to dispute the accounts on a monthly basis. So every month the bureaus are running their scores. They are not considering those items into their algorithm because they're continuously being disputed.
Okay.
That is not what we do.
Good information.
So I believe next slide, scroll down to slide I'd like to touch a little bit on that as well.
Okay. It's up.
Since we're talking about credit scores, right? A lot of consumers nowadays are monitoring their credit report via Credit Karma, for example, or other directly through their bank or their credit card company. The concern or the items that we constantly have to clarify with consumers is that they need to pay attention to what scoring model is being utilized to provide them their FICO score. For example, Credit Karma uses the Vantage scoring model. The Vantage scoring model was created by the bureaus. They all got together and decided that they were going to have something similar to what the FICO company has done, but owned by them, right? So they set the rules as to what was going to be generated and how accounts were going to be monitored and at the end, what buckets would be used to display the consumer score. So as you can see on the screen, the FICO score ranged from 300 to 850, right? 300 being the lower, 800 being the excellent credit scores. Compared to the Vantage scoring model, you have the Vantage scoring model starts at 501 and can go all the way up to 990. The discrepancies that the consumers often run into is that when Sheila pulls their credit, she tells them, oh, you have a, let's say 660, but they're looking at their Vantage scoring model and they're in the mid 700s. You know, there's a huge difference between the two models. And the reason for that is because of how the accounts are calculated. For example, if you go to the next slide, I think it goes a little bit into, I may have put it in there, I may not have. The Vantage scoring model, for example, only requires, let's use the example of somebody that has no credit, meaning they have no active trade lines, they have never opened an account, don't own a car, so they're not making any car payments, don't have a house, they're not making any mortgage payments, so they have absolutely nothing on their credit report. So they open up a credit card, which is one of the best ways to initiate, to establish credit history. The Vantage scoring model, meaning Credit Karma's model, or the Bureau's model, will only require that that consumer makes one month payment for them to generate a score. As opposed to the FICO model, if somebody has no credit or thin credit, the FICO scoring model requires that consumers to make 6 months worth of payment before they display a score. So that credit card has to show active payment history for 6 months before they can display a score. So a lot of the times the consumer says, well, I opened the credit card and I see scores, so yay, I can move forward with loan approval. And we tell them, because we're using the FICO scoring model, which is what the type of scoring model that is used widely by lenders to grant credit, we have to wait 6 months for them to display a score. So just wanted to clarify that as well. Any questions around that? Because that usually generates a lot of questions.
That's a really good point, because I get that all the time. Well, I'm looking on Credit Karma or Zillow or any of these other automatic sources that the consumer can go to, and I'm always having to explain that.
Real quick question. How accurate are the credit scores that you get from your banks? You know, a lot of banks now, with their online apps.
Reported under the Vantage scoring model, the scoring model may not even factor in that account as a negative against their credit records. If the balance on the account is $250 or less, they're not even going to consider it. They may display it, but they're not even factoring into their algorithm, as opposed to the FICO scoring model. FICO doesn't care whether you owe $5 on that collection or $250 in that collection, or $250,000, or whatever the amount might be. They don't care. They count it against their algorithm, and it generates a negative impact against the consumer score. So that's where you see be such drastic differences between the two models as well.
Okay, Max had a question. How accurate, his question, Adalia, was how accurate is the credit score that we receive from our banks? So when you get a bank, you know, sometimes your bank will offer that. Is that based off of the FICO score or the Vantage score?
That's a good question because there's various types of FICO scoring models out there. There's a consumer scoring model. So if you're getting your scores through your bank, such as I do as well, you're looking at a consumer score. So there's going to be a slight variation between what Sheila's going to see versus what you're going to see.
Okay.
But the difference shouldn't be that drastic unless they're using,
The Vantage score.
The Vantage score, which Capital One or some other companies do use the Vantage score. That may have changed. Don't quote me on that. But some credit card companies use the Vantage scoring model, so the consumers are constantly monitoring, thinking that their score is improving, while in fact it hasn't really fluctuated much because we're using the FICO score. Okay. So to answer the question, it depends on what model the bank's using.
Okay. Mm-hmm. Got it. Okay.
Okay. So I see the opt-out pre-screen slide on there. This basically is just a reminder for consumers who are getting inundated with, I think it's page number 8, who are getting inundated with enormous amount of advertisement. Your mailbox is full of all these offers, especially for consumers who are in the market to get approval for a loan. Please refrain from applying for any credit unless Sheila tells you to, or unless you are working with the credit services team at Nova and we instruct you to, because every time you apply for credit, that dings your credit score. There's a higher inquiry that's being added against your credit records, and the points can vary anywhere from 3 to 5 points up to 7 points. Every time your credit is pulled as a hard inquiry, you could potentially lose up to 7 points of your credit report. So if you're in the market for, let's say, you're wanting to get a 700 credit score because that'll get you a better interest rate, or that's the magic number that Sheila has told you to obtain, and then you go and apply for credit and we were not factoring that extra inquiry against your credit records, you may actually miss reaching the 700 credit score because of that higher inquiry. So unless we tell you to, if you're working with us, do not open for new credit. Now, to prevent obtaining all this marketing information in the mail, you can actually opt out. The optoutprescreen.com website allows you to opt out for 5 years at a time from receiving all this marketing material, so you're not tempted to, or God forbid, somebody steals your identity and applies on your behalf, which has happened. By the way, we work with a lot of borrowers who have had their identity stolen, and we have to help them clean all that up. So to prevent all this information from being sent to you, you can go to optoutprescreen.com, and I do it myself every 5 years. I go in there and add my name, my cell phone number, and my mailing address to make sure that all these
do we lose her?
You can all do permanently. That is a commitment. So I got that far, but 3 to 5 years, I never mind from it.
So, one thing I mentioned to clients is when they apply for a home loan, I warn them up front, and then I ask them if they want me to opt them out. And then they usually give me permission to go ahead and do so, because there are companies that pay for whenever a credit is pulled, a credit report is pulled, they will all of a sudden be solicited by a bunch of other lenders, a bunch of other people for multiple sources.
And Debbie, if I can just share a quick story. I don't know if I have enough time here, but can I share just a quick story? This happened this week, by the way. It's kind of scary. So we were working with a consumer who didn't have any credit, right? They thought credit cards were bad. They just never wanted to open any of them, but they wanted a mortgage loan. And so we told them, your score could potentially increase significantly, 150 points, by doing such and such thing. So we did that. They didn't opt out. All of a sudden, they start getting calls from other companies. because their credit had been pulled, and those triggers were sent to all these different companies, as you mentioned, Sheila, that purchase consumers' information. And so they called him and they started asking him to verify his social security, all these other things. And of course, he started giving them information. What really, really freaked him out was when they asked for his account number. And he said, wait, I'm not sure you need that. And so they hung up and called me. And of course, we walked them through and we said, you should never give Nova will not ask you for any of that information over the phone ever. Especially if we need any information, we'll email you and then call you, or vice versa. But you will get something in writing, typically saying we will be asking you for this information. So it is scary. Scammers are out there too. They take advantage, and they might be purchasing some of this information just to target you as well. So be very careful with who you give information to.
Yeah. So the moral of the story is always ask your lender if whoever is soliciting you is valid. Always ask, and never give your social security number over the phone unless you know the company that you're working with. So
absolutely. So I've covered a lot. I know I took a lot of time trying to get all situated with my technical issues here, but I promise you I am going to conquer that monster, and I need to educate myself so I don't run into this again. Any questions that you guys have for me?
Max or Ruth, any questions?
Yeah, I have a question. What's you kind of mentioned it a little bit earlier in the call, but what's the difference between working with someone like Adalia here from the credit services team versus working with a typical credit repair service that you get 1,000 advertisements for, especially people who have bad credit?
Well, I can answer a little bit, and then we'll let Adalia chime in. The biggest thing is we don't charge. A lot of those companies that you hire separately, we do it as a value added item for Nova Home Loans in preparation to purchasing or refinancing a home. The other companies do it for a living in respect to that's how they get paid. They charge you either on a monthly basis or put you in a contract, and you're paying extra over time. So Adalia, you can add into that.
Yeah, so we end up working with a lot of customers that have started off working with the credit repair company. I asked them, because normally a good indication of when a consumer is working with a credit repair company is you pull up their credit report and they have everything that has a derogatory item associated with it in dispute. And so we asked them, are you working with a credit repair company? Because whatever we do on this end may be offset by whatever, may be undone by whatever the credit repair company is doing. And often they'll say, yes, I am, I've been paying them. And we ask them, how much longer do you need to work with them? And sometimes, and this is the scary part, they don't know, because they're not really giving a time frame as to how long it's take to clear up their credit issues. They're paying a lot of money, and they say, well, we don't know how much each individual company is getting. I can tell you the majority of the money is going to the credit repair company. They talk about it because, of course, they're
sure.
And then they continue to negotiate with the credit companies that are reported on the consumer's records. But it could be months, if not years, before their credit is completely cleared. And again, all of this is stuff that our consumers can do themselves.
With our help, with our guidance.
With our help for free. We just provide the guidance. We don't negotiate accounts or settlements on their behalf. We provide guidance on how to go about doing it.
Yeah. So stay with them until they're finished.
So I have a question for Adalia, because the FDC did a study and they found that 1 in 5 consumers have errors on their credit report. Does Adalia work with you to identify them and help you correct them?
Well, the first thing, yes, she does. The first thing that happens is when somebody comes to me to pre-qualify for a home loan, credit is pulled. I look at it. If they're at the required FICO score, 620 for just a regular FHA, 640 is the minimum required for home is possible down payment assistance. So that's typically what we try to achieve, either 620 or 640. So if they're not there, I look at the report initially, and then I go ahead and involve Adalia's team. And then they come up with the ideas, okay, how to get to the required score the fastest way.
But my question is, the FDC says that 1 in 5 consumers have errors on their credit report. Does Nova Credit Services help get rid of those errors?
If they are causing their scores to drop, then yes, absolutely. That's part of what we do when we're analyzing the consumer's report. We're looking to see what could potentially be negatively impacting their credit, and then assisting them with making those corrections. We do submit disputes to the bureaus to update erroneously reported information on the consumer's behalf. And as I mentioned that earlier, the consumer can do this themselves, but they'll need to contact each individual bureau separately, as opposed to working with us. We do it all for them and take that save them some time in doing so. Some of the common errors that consumers see is basically like their name or address. Those kind of things don't necessarily impact the score unless somebody's information is being pulled into their credit report, which is referred to as a mixed file, and now you're really not getting accurate scores because somebody else's records are being distorting the FICO outcome.
And you said that the annualcreditreport.com is the safe place to go to get your credit report?
Absolutely. There's other websites. There are other websites out there that charge, but you start with the annualcreditreport.com because it's free of charge. In the past, you were allowed to obtain a copy of your credit report through those means once a year, but because of COVID, the bureaus are allowing you to obtain the credit report on a weekly basis. So monitor it. Yeah. Pay close attention to what's being reported, because that could be what you find there could prevent you, if it's erroneously reported, it could prevent you from actually getting loan approval right away.
Thank you.
What's the impact of working with like a loan, like a credit consolidation company? I know, when people go through the process of right before they either file for bankruptcy or whatever, they get these, advertisements from these loan consolidation companies. What's the impact on your credit score by working with those types of companies?
Well, it really depends. If you're working with a repair company and they placed a lot of information, a lot of your trade lines under dispute, then we're not going to see the accurate credit report, because, as I mentioned earlier, those trade lines are exempt from the bureau's algorithm, and so we're not getting an accurate FICO score. And to get an accurate FICO score, the dispute would need to be removed. But I have seen customers that have worked with a credit consolidation company, and they don't place their accounts in dispute, but they rather put them in a payment plan to eventually pay off the debt. And those are good things. If that's the best route for the consumer to keep them on a steady payment, especially when they have an enormous amount of balances that need to be paid, those companies can actually help them get on a plan and stick with it on a monthly basis.
Okay, fantastic. And is it negative a negative thing if they negotiate their balance down?
It depends.
Okay.
So let me give you an example, and the reason why I say it depends. Because whenever, let's say I'm analyzing a consumer's report and I see some medical accounts that are outstanding, and they need to pay off the balances for their FICO score to improve, we'll run simulations to see what impact paying off that particular account will have against their records. If their scores improve by paying it off, then we tell them you need to pay that one off. We also conference them in with the credit company, with the credit collection agency, and ask if they would be willing to negotiate, to provide a settlement on that account. And if so, and this is very important, if they provide a settlement, will they still delete the account from the consumer's records? I've had some to say, if you settle, we won't delete, but we will update the bureaus to say that the account has been paid and settle for less than the amount owed, but yet the trade line continues to report as a zero balance account, which has no positive impact on the consumer score. But I've had others that say, if you pay in full, we will provide you a deletion letter and we will ask the bureaus to delete the account from your credit records, and ultimately increasing the consumer score. So that's why I say it depends. It always is best to ask, and we can run simulations on our side to determine what the best impact will be and the best course of action for the consumer to take.
So Adalia, if I have a $10,000 credit line on a credit card, what is a safe percentage of usage that won't make a negative impact on my credit score?
Okay, good question. If that is your only credit card and you have no other active revolving account, then all the bureaus are determining your credit worthiness based on how you manage that account. So I typically recommend 10 to 20%. You hear others say up to 30%. Yeah. But again, the best impact that I see is about 10 to 20% of that compared to that credit limit.
So if I'm using $8,000 of that 10,000, then I'm going to be negatively impacted.
Correct. If the bureaus report that 80% utilization is applied to that card. Now, if you report the opposite, you're only using 20%. You can anticipate your score to reflect that by being much higher.
Yeah.
So that's why over time, as you pay down your card, if you max it, your score slowly but surely increases.
Yes. And again, let me just clarify that you can use your $10,000 every month as long as you're paying it off when you get your statement, and that's not going to have a negative impact on your score. The negative impact or potential negative impact on the score actually is displayed if the bureaus report that the account is maxed out or higher than that 20-30%. That's when you see the fluctuation in score.
Okay.
Are there certain collections that drop off automatically from your credit score still, or do they stay on permanently?
That's another good question. Yes, the statute of limitation for derogatory information is 7 years. So assuming that the collection agency does not refile or file a judgment against you, that account would actually be deleted from your credit report within 7 years from the last reported derogatory date. And let me elaborate if I can on that, because this is another question that I get from consumers. Let's say the account went into default and then it got sold around to several different collection agencies. The statute of limitation does not restart with the latest collection agency. It is the statute of limitation is based off of when the account went into default with the original creditor. So it's 7 years from that. So you want to monitor your credit to kind of track that and confirm when that collection gets resold to a different agency.
So who's tracking that on the bureau level? Do they have? Is it the algorithm?
Yes, and the bureaus, for the most part, have done a much better job. They didn't used to, but they've done a much better job at tracking that. I've also had to dispute some information on behalf of consumers because they didn't delete it. And so we kind of have to go back and have them research that and confirm that this, in fact, is a trade line that is more than 7 years old and it has met the statute of limitation, and they do delete it. And that typically has a positive increase on the consumer's FICO score once the trade line is deleted.
Good information.
Yeah, really good information.
Excellent. Idalia, you really know your stuff.
She does.
And I think maybe we'll have you on again when we can see your pretty face and interact a little more.
Absolutely. I look forward to it. And I promise again, like I said, this monster is not going to conquer me.
Fantastic.
Oh, well.
Fantastic.
You all rose to the occasion, and we heard you, and we had your PowerPoint. So
made it work.
We made it work in 8 minutes.
Thank you so much. I appreciate
thank you for coming on, Idalia.
Thank you, Idalia.
You're welcome.
All right, Sheila, any last words here? I mean, we're coming up to almost the hour here.
Yeah, last words. If you think you are interested in seeing what you can do to purchase instead of renting, now's the time. We can help you. We have our team. We have an arsenal of help for you, and we're with you from the beginning, from your application to when you close. So I'm the first one you talk with, and the last one you're going to talk with when you go to closing. And then I bring in our credit services team, that home on the horizon, to help you realize your dream. So.
Yeah, so don't be afraid if you have a bad credit score right now. You know, it may be like 1 or 2 or 3 fixes that Sheila and her team and Idalia can help you with that could accelerate you being able to purchase a home instead of renewing your lease or renting. I mean, give it some lead time. It may take, as fast as 60 days but it could be as long as, a year, but still, at least it puts you on the pathway of getting into home ownership.
Yeah, I don't see the interest rates changing the rest of this year, and maybe they'll continue to be good into January, February. So, 6 months, people can be still, if they start now repairing their credit,
right.
Yeah, they still have an opportunity to own the American dream.
We probably have a window about a year and a half here before rates start to accelerate.
That's what the rumor is about that.
So there's hope.
All right. Thank you, Sheila, for coming on and bringing your guest.
You're welcome.
Ruth, any last words from you about classes coming up?
Yes. Oh my gosh. We have got so much going on. On Wednesday, we have an ethics class with me and Jimmy DAGUE. And it is called Did You Cross the Line? And it's from 10 to 1 at 8400 West Sahara. You go to b.vegas and you sign up there. You can Zoom in or you can call and see if there's room for you to join us in the classroom. And people have been doing that. They're tired of not being seen and not seeing people.
Yeah.
And then let's see let's see. I think it's on Friday. I printed out my calendar, but I don't know what happened to it. Friday, there's another class. Oh, here it is. Too many papers. Friday, we have a contracts class, and it's called Crossing the T's and Dotting the I's. And we're going to really go over the listing contract and some agency things that always filter into contract classes. That's 10 to 1. Me and Jimmy DAGUE will be teaching that. Again, 8400 West Sahara. Go to b.vegas to sign up. And then on the 24th, we have agency negotiations. Do you work for your client? You have. And that's Monday, and that will be from 2 to 5. And what I have to tell everybody is at 5 o'clock, Cammie or Sheila, someone brings in wine and cheese and crackers. So that's always fun. And then on the 26th, from 2 to 5, another happy hour party, we have law. And let me tell you, law is not a boring subject. There's new laws, and there are spotters out there everywhere making sure that we abide and are compliant with the laws. So that's 2 to 5. Jimmy DAGUE and I will be teaching that one. So in the next 2 weeks, you can get all your core credits that you need in law, agency, contracts, and ethics. So we're covering all the bases the last 2 weeks of the month. And we're going to be doing that every month. And we've also introduced our cybersecurity, which is generally the second Monday. And we just had that this past week. So that's an excellent class, 3 CE credits also for ethics. And Sheila, you have some classes. When's your next class?
My next class, it's not this coming Tuesday, it's the following Tuesday. And we're going to go over what you need to know about for loans. So some basic information that will help you when you meet a client to kind of know what to ask them. So you're not out driving them around, showing them houses all weekend. Some basic information to empower you. So
right. And then have them not qualify for a loan.
Exactly.
We've all been there.
Yes.
Yeah. So everybody, if you go to b.vegas, you can sign up for Sheila's class. You can sign up for our core CE classes. And Sheila, don't you have a CE class?
I do. And I need to start. Yeah. I do. Absolutely. I will.
Is it a general class?
We will do the first one next month.
Okay.
All right. You heard it here first. I promise.
Then we'll have 6 CE classes every month at 8400 West Sahara, the training center. And Sheila, we had 60 people at the cybersecurity class between the people the 15 in the classroom and 45 on Zoom. Yeah. Cool. So yeah, it's amazing. I love the Zoom, and it just draws attention to what we're doing as well. So it's all good. Well, you both have a wonderful weekend.
Yes. Have a great week, everybody. Tune in tomorrow at 9
Have a great
a.m.
weekend. Have a great weekend, Adalia.
Thank
Love
you.
everybody. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye,
Thank
everybody.
you.
Thank you. Bye-bye.